بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم مبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد اللهم افتح علينا بحكمتك وانشر علينا برحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم املأ قلوبنا بحبك وبحب نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وبحب دينه وبحب تعلمه يا أرحم الراحمين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Peace be upon you. Interesting way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give us to greet each other. You sometimes wonder if the Arabs have even forgotten what salam means. I want to, before I start, just clarify something because I'm worried some of you might be here because of a poster that was put out on the website. And it was very cleverly done. It was obviously a parody for me, but unfortunately not a parody for other people because somebody, a well-known person that I won't mention to you, called and after reading this was asked to speak at a demonstration. They were going to demonstrate my talk. It said Shifa presents an unmissable fundraising event for the Shifa School, Islam in the West, delivered by Hamza Yusuf Hansen, personal imam to George Bush. And I'm going to talk about the following topics: Islam in the West. Relations between Islam and the West are possibly at their lowest ebb in decades. Lowest ebb, I mean, you have to grant some sophistication here, because people that can use metaphors tend to be a little more clever than people that can't use metaphors. This is primarily due to radicals who wish to distort the true nature of the West. Islam in the West is an epic lecture. I mean, it's kind of an interesting adjective. Epic lecture. Never heard that before. Have to remember that. Okay. Aiming to demonstrate how the West embodies true Islam in all of its facets, from government and society through to its foreign and defense policy, like urinating on people. Right? This lecture is particularly pertinent for the Muslim community, as our salvation lies not in what the extremists call Quran and Sunnah, but following and emulating the leading countries of the West, Britain and the United States of America. So that's not to be missed. Well, there's a few things I want to say. I don't know who did this. I don't necessarily have to assume it was a Muslim. I can assume it was just somebody that, who knows? I don't know. Allah knows the hearts of people, and maybe this is a traumatized person. Might be a lecturer that doesn't get very many people to show up for their lectures or something and just doesn't like people that do. I don't know, but I think it's interesting because what I just would like to say about this is I sometimes really worry that our religion has, in essence, become really a book on a shelf. And I think it's interesting that Sidi Ibrahim Hewitt mentioned about where do I put Islam into this? Where do I fit it into the curriculum? And I think that's really important because I have never, since the day I became Muslim, I have never understood Islam to be a subject. I haven't understood it to be something that you study. I mean, there are things that within Islam that you study. You study fiqh, for instance. You study Arabic. I mean, that's very important. You can study tafsir, hadith. There's plenty of things you can study in a madrasa or a university or wherever you go to school. But I've never understood Islam to be a subject. I've always understood Islam, or I hope I have. I've always understood Islam to be actually a state that you're actually in, called Islam. It's a descriptive state. And I find it very interesting that the three qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses in the Quran to describe people who are of faith are, the first one is Muslim, the second one is Mu'min, and the third one is Muhsin. Those are the three qualities that Allah uses to describe human beings. And I find it really interesting that all three of them are in the Western tradition of Arabic, because I'm supposed to talk about the West and things, is number 4. It's a fourth on the 15 verb permutations. It's a fourth form. And that goes under the paradigm of af'ala. Af'ala yuf'ilu if'alan fahuwa muf'ilun. That's how it goes if you ever studied Arabic. And if you didn't, you just learned the fourth form. If you look at that, aslama yuslimu islaman fahuwa muslim. Amana yuminu imanan fahuwa mu'min. Or mu'min in house. Ahsana yuhsinu ihsanan fahuwa muhsin. Those are the categories. Now what's really interesting is that the fourth form in Arabic is used to create a transitive situation for an intransitive first form. This is supposed to be talking about education, so I'm assuming all of you are educated. So I hope that you know the difference between a transitive and an intransitive verb. But if you don't, I'll just give you a little lesson in grammar to remind you, because I'm sure some of you didn't go to grammar school, right? Because you didn't get good enough grades or something like that. And in the other schools in England, where the plebeians, I think, go to, right? It's the patrician class that goes to those grammar schools before they go to Eton or